Hi everybody, I'm Bill Brennan welcoming you to another edition of Honolulu on the Move, the show that brings you the latest news and information about the Honolulu Rail Transit Project. The big news this month is the delivery of Honolulu's first ever rail train cars. They were in final assembly in Pittsburg, California, up near Oakland, put on a truck where they were trucked down to the port in San Diego, and they were delivered to Honolulu Harbor at the end of March. They are now on their way to the Rail Operations Center, where they'll undergo some exterior work and some static testing before we bring them and show them out to the public at the end of this month, at the end of April. So it's a big, exciting time for the rail project and our rail cars here in Honolulu. Of course, this is the month of April, and it's been a tradition here at HART that every April, Earth Month, we talk about the sustainability and environmental benefits of our rail transit project. And to do that with me over the past 5 years has been HART's Land Use and Sustainability Manager, Aki Marceau. And Aki, thank you so much for joining us once again this year.
Thank you for having me, Bill.
Sure. So what's the latest in sustainability land as it relates to the rail project?
Well, I guess before I go into the nitty-gritty of the project, I just want to remind everyone out there that the project itself is a very sustainable form of transportation. So across the United States and in Hawaii as well, transportation actually takes up about 30% of the energy that we use. And that's equivalent to residential buildings and even the aerospace industry in Hawaii. So by reducing the amount of energy that we use in transportation, so that's primarily cars and trucks and buses and that type of thing, yes. We have a tremendous positive impact on the environment. So our system itself, by transitioning the community from cars to the train, or cars to buses and the train, we will be reducing transportation energy demand by 3%. So that's 171 metric tons of CO2 per day. And typically that's, I guess in the transportation vernacular, that's vehicle miles traveled is reduced. So the amount that people are driving is going to decrease as a whole, island-wide, which is huge. So I know right now a lot of folks are buying electric vehicles and that type of thing, and that's really, really, really important for sustainability. But our train is going to be one massive electric vehicle. Yes. So you don't even need to buy a vehicle if you don't want to. Yeah.
I know we often use the number about 40,000 fewer car trips on the road on an average weekday. Is that the kind of thing you're referring to when the vehicle miles traveled are reduced?
Exactly. So instead of having to get into a car and drive from, say, UH West Oahu to Ala Moana, you can just hop on the train and take that same trip without having to drive. Yeah, so, and if you live out in the valley or maybe a place that isn't as close to the rail system as directly, across the street from a station, you can hop on a bus or ride a bicycle, or even walk.
Right.
Yeah.
The use of electricity, though, powered by, or that comes from the combustion of oil, is still a concern. But I know the move on the island is to be have 100% of our energy from renewable, yes, or reusable. Can you explain that for us?
Yeah, so there's a state law that says that that sets a target of 100% renewable energy in Hawaii by 2045. Right. So as the state and HECO and the different utility companies transition towards renewable energy, like photovoltaics, wind power, that type of thing, our train system will also transition towards in that direction. But within the agency itself, we're also trying to help out with that metric. So we just issued our bids for the city center station and guideway design build package, and that's a huge mouthful, but essentially it's the last 9 stations and the guideway. And within that procurement package, we've included photovoltaics on the stations. So as we start to incorporate PVs, that'll offset the energy that we use on the stations. And we're looking for more opportunities on the west side as well as our rail operations center.
I know I've read something about regenerative braking, which I think is common in like hybrid cars and
Yes.
electric cars, and you see that some of the energy that you use when you brake is somehow reassigned to the power that runs that car, and that will be a
Right.
sustainable feature of our.
Exactly.
Yes.
So we do have regenerative braking as the trains brake, as they're going towards stations, let's say.
Yes.
That energy that's produced from braking will be picked up by other trains that are accelerating. So that's certainly a way that we're trying to keep our system as efficient as possible. There's other ways in which we're trying to be efficient. So our escalators on our stations, they're efficient. So typically you see escalators just moving all the time. Ours, when there aren't people on the escalators, they actually slow down.
Ah,
And then there's a sensor that's triggered when someone gets close, and then they start to speed up again. So it reduces the wear and tear and the energy that's used on the escalators themselves.
right.
Yeah.
You mentioned a figure, a 3% reduction figure. Now, 3% by itself doesn't sound like a lot,
Right.
I mean, it's 1%, 2%, 3%.
Yeah.
But give us some idea, and I think we have a little chart too that explains what that 3% actually kind of translates to, or could be equated to.
Right. Well, we do have a figure available. I don't have the numbers in front of me themselves, but if on the figure it shows exactly what the reduction of energy would be. But it does 3% island-wide is pretty significant.
Okay.
So if you take
It's
a look
equivalent
at
though to like so many gallons of gasoline,
gasoline and
not
that type of
used
thing.
and that kind of thing.
that. Yeah.
Okay, there
Yeah.
it is. So it's more
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
6,500 homes use of electricity for 1 year.
Or if you look at gallons of gasoline, 5.9 million gallons of gasoline consumed. So that means that we aren't driving as much, and
Right.
we don't have to depend on importing oil for that purpose.
And that's a daily figure. 3% per day?
Yes, which would be the same as 3%
Yeah.
per year
Oh, okay.
as well.
Well, that's really good news, and I think people can understand that 120,000 barrels of oil, for instance, or 2.2 million propane cylinders that we use for our barbecues.
Yes.
Savings.
And we love our barbecues here.
Yes, we do.
So I'd also like to highlight that in 2013, we signed what's called the American Public Transportation Association Sustainability Commitment. And that's a
Yes.
commitment that transit agencies across the country, so the MBTA in Boston or the MTA in New York, WMATA, which is in DC, BART in San Francisco, they're all signatories of the APTA sustainability commitment. And it really, the initial signing of it just indicates that the agency itself is committed to supporting and enhancing sustainability within the project. So one of the commitments, or it essentially signs that agency up for 4 specific commitments. One is to make sustainability a part of their strategic objectives, which we've done. Another one is to hire a sustainability champion, which is me.
Yes.
And part of the role of the sustainability champion is to reach out to staff and really kind of develop a culture of sustainability within the agency, and hopefully that will kind of feed out externally to the community.
Right.
And then lastly, it's to measure kind of baseline metrics. So we're not in operations yet, so we haven't started to do that. All we have is estimates at this point, and we won't really have solid numbers until we're in operations, but we're building in mechanisms for that as well. So it being Earth Month, right now I'm planning several different programs for HART staff, and if you want me to talk about them, I'm more than happy to.
I'd love for you to talk about them.
So one of the things that we're really planning is a very proactive social media campaign. So we've developed a hashtag that's IHART, so I Heart Honua, and Honua means the earth. And so anytime we post anything related to sustainability and certain features of the project on Facebook or Twitter, or even as individuals on other forms
Sure.
of social media like Instagram, then we encourage everyone to use this hashtag, so all of that information is consolidated. And I really encourage the public to also use this hashtag as well. So it's iHeart, H-A-R-T, Honua, H-O-N-U-A.
Yes. Okay, great. That sounds great.
Another thing that we're thinking of doing is at the Rail Operations Center, which is by Leeward Community College.
Yes.
That'll be completed in May of this year.
I think so,
So
yeah.
before that completion, we are going to plant a tea plant. And it's going to be planted by the parking lot at
Uh-huh.
the Rail Operations Center. And we plan to plant that plant on Earth Day itself, which is April 22nd.
Right.
And so we're going to bring staff and other folks together.
Kind of a symbolic
Exactly.
example of what you were saying, that
Yes.
the culture within Heart is looking toward
Mm-hmm.
caring for the environment and making this project sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes, and we're including that as part of our landscaping plan for the area. We do have different trees and plants throughout our project at stations, sometimes in the median of the guideway, that type of thing. And most of those plants, we've actually made a very proactive effort to make sure that they're indigenous plants or Polynesian introduced plants. So they're very resilient and able to survive in this climate, and they're not going to need excessive watering or irrigation or that type of thing. And they're native, so
Right.
that will enhance the existing ecosystem here.
Right.
So the tea planting is part of that as well.
I know the landscaping around some of the stations is meant to control things like soil erosion and that kind of thing. So again, looking out for that which is best for the earth as we build our system.
Yes, yes. So while we are in the urban core, in most of the system, we do want to make sure that there's shading and a pleasant environment for transit patrons and the public as a whole.
Right.
So
So the tea planting is going to take place at the Rail Operations Center, as you mentioned,
correct.
which itself is
LEED certified.
has a lot of
yeah.
energy efficiency built into it.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
So the U.S. Green Building Council, the USGBC, has a green building rating system called LEED. So that's Leadership and Environmental Efficient Design. And at the USGBC, which is almost finished, very exciting.
Yeah.
Or sorry, at the Rail Operations Center, also
Yeah.
known as the ROC. That is LEED Silver certified. So that means there's silver. Well, you can be LEED certified, LEED Silver, Gold, or Platinum.
Okay.
So we're at the
We're
bronze
starting
medal.
yes, yes.
the bronze
okay.
medal level.
Yes, but we're starting somewhere.
Yes, yeah, and a lot of that certification comes from just energy efficient design. So you can design a building that takes advantage of, say, prevailing wind flow or where the lighting comes in, and the way that the architects have actually designed actually two buildings at the Rail Operations Center allows for energy efficiency. So one of the buildings, the Operations Services Building, the OSB,
Right.
is designed in a way that saves 20% of the energy that's used there.
Excellent.
And the maintenance of way, or the MOW as we
Right.
call it, is designed in a way that is 16% energy efficient. So if it were designed in a different way, maybe using just run-of-the-mill AC systems or something like that, it would not nearly as efficient
Right.
as it could be. So we've really made a concerted effort to design it in a sustainable manner. Another thing that we have here, I think a lot of people are interested in this, is we have what's called the train wash building.
Right.
And the train wash building washes all of the train cars, kind of like a big car wash.
Yes.
And to save on water, because water is a scarce resource, we recycle all of the water at the train wash building.
Oh.
So that's kind of a fun little added
Yes.
feature that we have there as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, the train is just part of what will one day be a multimodal public transportation system that
Yes.
includes the bus.
Yes.
And big plans for including bicycles.
Yes.
I know we often get asked, can I bring my bike on the train? And of course we say, yes, you may. We have areas on the train cars where you can store your bike while you transit to wherever it is you're going and take your bike off and ride. There's places to park bicycles at the rail stations. Tell us about the workings between train and bicycle.
Yeah, well, the city is doing a tremendous job integrating bicycle infrastructure into the city as a whole.
Yes.
So I'm sure you folks have all seen the King Street cycle track. So that's a protected bike lane. They have
And they're
plans.
adding more.
Yeah, so South Street, I believe, is their next plan. But in order to kind of piggyback or dovetail on those efforts by the city, we've included a tremendous amount of bicycle infrastructure at our stations. We're currently coordinating with Bike Share Hawaii, which is a bike share group, nonprofit. So they're installing these little bike kiosks everywhere where you don't even have to own a bike. You can just rent it for, I don't know, 20 minutes or however long you need to get from point A to point B. We also have bike racks at every single station, so people can park their bikes safely at the station. And as you know, our system is elevated, so in order to carry bikes from the ground level to the station area, we have what are called bike troughs. So there are these little like divots on the side of the stairs that allow you to roll your bike seamless, or I guess very easily up the stairway. So you don't have to carry it on your shoulder if you don't want to do that, or even if you want to save energy by not taking the elevator, you can just roll it up the stairway. And so we do encourage people to both park their bikes at our bike racks or take them on the train if they need to.
Yes.
And that also integrates with the bus system as well, which has bike racks on the front of the buses, as everyone knows. And I know those are very well used. So we anticipate the same level of usage throughout our system.
Do you think more people will use bicycles because they can take them on the train? Because I know a lot of people here have expressed they don't feel it's safe sometimes to bicycle in certain parts of the city. You mentioned the King Street cycle track, which is now a much safer place to bike than what was there before. Right? And and those kinds of things. But I'm just wondering if you see the use of transit and bicycle use kind of combining to see people use more of both of those modes, and in so doing, reduce greenhouse gas emissions and the like.
And I do, and I think that's the whole concept behind the efforts behind HART, having an integrated transit network. So we're really not just looking at transit, the train as a standalone system, but how the train interfaces with bicycle infrastructure like bike lanes, bike sharrows, which are those little arrows in the road, protected bike lanes. There's different types of bike lanes, I guess. Also, I really like to emphasize pedestrian use. So every trip starts with walking, whether you're going to your car or to the bus
station,
or to your bike or to a transit system. So if we have wide, safe, pleasant sidewalks, that will allow for more people to feel comfortable walking to their destination or walking to one step of their destination. And the city and the state alike are trying to develop different mechanisms to enhance the sidewalk space. It seems kind of like a no-brainer, but it's more difficult than you would anticipate. And then I know a lot of folks that have been a little bit critical of bicyclists. They complain that either bicyclists are on the sidewalk or they're in the middle of the road. So that's kind of the reasoning behind having these protected bike lanes available, like the King Street cycle track. And the Department of Transportation Services has actually done statistical analysis and counted the number of bicyclists that are on the sidewalk, and it's been reduced since they introduced the King Street cycle track. So that's really great, you know, to see that people are actually going out of the way to use that form of transportation. And as that type of infrastructure is connected to the stations, more and more people will be using bicycle and and walking to the stations. And I haven't mentioned transit-oriented development yet,
Yes.
but transit-oriented development is the idea that you can have development around stations. Usually it's either a quarter to a half mile around stations. That's high density mixed use. So historically in America, we've had what's called Euclidean zoning, which separates residential from commercial, from office to industrial, that type of thing. And this concept really integrates all of those things together. So you can, I mean, it's kind of an old concept, but you can live on top of a business that you own or run or something like that.
Right.
And
that business can be located near a rail
exactly,
station. Yes.
Exactly. So it kind of builds communities around the stations that can be self-sustaining. And that will decrease the amount of development that would otherwise happen in, say, the North Shore, or, you know, areas where the community really doesn't want a lot of development to happen. And
Right.
the Department of City Planning, Planning and Permitting, sorry,
Yes.
and the state, they're looking at mechanisms for TOD around the station. So they're doing very active outreach to the community to develop these TOD plans, and in the next step is to actually rezone the areas to allow for higher heights, more density, and a mix of uses.
As you look around the country at cities that have transit and transit-oriented development and that kind of thing, are there any that, you know, when you look at them from where you sit as land use and sustainability manager, you think they're doing everything right, or they're doing so much right that we should one day hope to be like?
Right,
What
right.
what are those cities maybe?
I mean, definitely in the United States, certainly New York City. I mean, it's a much larger scale than Honolulu.
Right.
Portland certainly is. I just went to Portland last year for the first time, and they just built a new light rail line called the Orange Line, and they've just done a tremendous effort integrating TOD, and you know, they have PVs on all of their stations and that type of thing. So they've done a really good job. Internationally, there's a lot of great examples. Copenhagen, and our system is modeled off of the Copenhagen system.
Right.
Vancouver is fantastic. In Japan, I spent 3 years in Japan, and pretty much every city in Japan is just kind of textbook case.
Yes.
Exactly
What do
what
they
I want.
have? I mean, what is it about those cities or their systems that excite you?
I think their focus is on mobility and not so much driving. A lot in the United States, people think of driving as equivalent to mobility. In other countries, they look at how can I get from point A to point B the easiest? And oftentimes that's not by using a car. And so they've really focused on how to get the individual from one place to another instead of the car. And that's allowed for higher, like more dense, more interesting cities, I would say. I mean, I don't want to poo-poo American cities, but because there's so much around, the walking, the pedestrian experience is really exciting because there's a lot of retail at the ground level, there's a lot of street trees. They really invest in that kind of public infrastructure, and they do a good job with public-private partnerships as well. So I think the private sector there really understands the benefits of having nice sidewalks, for example.
Right. And are those kinds of things included as we look at transit-oriented development here?
Yes, they are. Actually, HART just issued its first request for information for a public-private partnership in March. And so that's at our Pearl Highlands Transit Center and Parking Garage. And we're seeing if there's any interest within the development community to partner with HART to develop an intermodal transit center and potentially commercial or office space above or integrated throughout that parking garage. So there are things that we're looking at as an agency itself, and then certainly the city and the state are also looking for opportunities similar to that as well.
You mentioned too the culture within HART as becoming more Akamai, more environmentally aware, sustainability aware. How do you think that's going? I mean, I know we have several fellow staffers who like to bike, who like to participate in those kinds of things.
I think, slowly but surely, I'm doing a better job of rallying the troops and getting people excited about sustainability. Every Monday, I send out an email to HART staff called Mindful Mondays. So it's really a moment where everyone can focus on sustainability as it relates to the transit project. And I kind of mention a fun fact or something going on in the news or something like that.
Yeah.
This month for Earth Month, I'm going to be tweeting out a fact every single day. So feel free to follow HNL_RTD
Yes.
on Twitter.
That's us.
For that fact.
Yes.
And I have kind of like a mini green team that's helping me plan all of these events. So one of the folks was really interested in having a Meatless Mondays theme where HART staff would be encouraged to not eat meat on Mondays. Another staff member was interested in bringing attention to reusable products. So it's called a plastics and styrofoam cleanse. And so for an entire week, we're encouraging HART staff to not use styrofoam or plastics when they're eating. And we're actually going to police each other. So if someone's caught using styrofoam and plastic, then their picture's going up on the wall, that type of thing. So there's a lot of, you have to make it fun.
Yes.
Bring attention to issues relating to sustainability, not just within transit, but everything as a whole.
Okay. Happy Earth Month, Aki.
Thank you. Happy Earth Month.
Okay. That's all the time we have for this month. On behalf of all of us on the project team, mahalo for joining us today, and we'll see you again next time for another edition of Honolulu on the Move.
If you have a question you'd like us to answer on our next Honolulu on the Move show, go ahead and hit us up on Twitter or Facebook, just two of the places where you can stay informed with up-to-date information on the Honolulu Rail Transit Project. And you can view our latest project videos on our YouTube channel. If you'd like more information on the project, or would like a presentation to your group or organization, give us a call at our project hotline at 566-2299 or contact us via our website at honolulutransit.org. You'll be able to keep up with the latest news and information about the project, important meeting dates, times, and locations, and examine the official documents that are guiding the project's planning and construction. Take some time to visit honolulutransit.org.